Hey you guys, it's Peter, and I'm back. Of course I'm back. I'm not going anywhere. Beast! Peekaboo, I see you because I'm YouTube famous now. Available September 20-something, the release. Beauty Killer, the anniversary. Rock on! You should have done a cover of that. You should have done a cover of Gold Dust Woman, Jeffree Lynn. Okay, Jeffree Pookie Lynn Star. That's what you should have done. Okay, because that probably would have sold a little bit more. Anyway, rock on, Gold Dust Woman. Boost. Can you imagine that phone call? Hello. That's Stevie Nicks. Stevie, it's Jeffree Lynn Pookie Star. Hell. Hell. What hell? It's Jeffree Lynn Pookie Star, Stevie. Hell. People are like, how are you doing Stevie dirty like that? I can't do Stevie's voice, okay? But I did say in a video the other day, I was like, Dolly Parton and Stevie Nicks is the crossover that we need. And then I got bombarded with a bunch of DMs from people being like, yeah, that already happened. And I said in the video, I said it probably already happened. I don't know it. But anyway, back to my phone call. Okay. Hello. Is this Pookie Johnson that I knew back in my White Wing Dove days? No. Stevie, this is Jeffree Star. Who? Honey, I'm 84 and I'm still touring. I'd never heard of you before. Oh my God. Okay, so, well, this is the sad reality, okay? The sad reality is that, okay, I just did this haul up here. I did this huge haul of all this stuff that I bought. And something up here, and I just opened these two little candles, and I know it's not the two little candles because I didn't put off that kind of throw. Do you know that's what you call it with a candle scent? A throw, okay? That's when you know you're a professional candle reviewer like me. But anyway, something up here smells literally like, you know those apple, I guess they're not apple, cinnamon sticks that they sell in grocery stores that like, you know, potpourri up your house. You know how strong they are? It's like if somebody just like rubbed one up against my nose is what this room smells like right now. But anyway, so I did this haul today, and then I did a reaction to Sister Wives, the season 19 premiere. We'll get to that in just a second. But anyway, and I was sitting here and I was like, so I make a list every night going into the next day of like all the videos that I'm going to make. And so I wrote down last night, I was like, live reaction to Jeffree Star's video, because Jeffree Star, after I guess 7 or 10 months, came back and put up a YouTube video yesterday, and I knew that he was going to, which is why I made my last video was about Jeffree Star. And so I was like, you know, it's kind of a sad, there's like a slow drama day when your video on the drama channel is your reaction to Jeffree Star's first video back in 10 months, which is a palette release, and also the 15th anniversary of Beauty Killer, his album, plus the release of 3 new songs. And I'm sitting there as I'm like walking around and I'm getting my fan and I'm pulling out my book for my Peterisms channel and getting my lip glosses and lip balms. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what's really, really sad about that? And this video of Jeffree Lynn, Pookie Lynn Stars, just reaffirms this for me. For those of you that don't know why I'm calling him Pookie, it's because I covered this TikTok that he did where he was so harsh to this woman, and she thought he muted her, and she didn't understand why he muted her. And so all she asked was why. And he goes, Pookie, 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 Pookie. He's doing all this Pookie stuff. Just leave, and all this kind of stuff. And, but anyway, that's why I call him Pookie. So, which is interesting because I Google searched it, and Pookie is actually a term of endearment. Did you know that? So apparently he really loves that woman, but she was calling for his cancellation. But anyway, what's really sad about this, and I'm going to get into more about talking about this video because I literally just watched this video sitting right here. But, you know, back in the day, a video like this, if I did a video and I called it Jeffree Star returns to YouTube after 10 months, like that video would have got 40 or 50,000 views on it, on my channel, okay? If I had done a video, Jeffree Star finally releases 3 new songs, like that might have got like 100,000 views, okay? Even back in the early days of me covering drama, a palette release from Jeffree Star, easily 20 or 30,000 views. So it's interesting to me that this video will probably hit 4,200 views, if I'm lucky. And most of you are here to hear me talk about the TV shows that I watched last night. So that's kind of the sad reality of Jeffree Star. And I've kind of hinted at this for quite some time, honestly, that how is Jeffree Star going to go out? It's interesting to me that I don't think this is being received the way that he thought it would be received. But we'll get to that in just a second because, listen, y'all, listen, Linda, okay? I have some things to tell you, okay? But anyway, like I was saying, you know it's a slow drama day when you're covering all this Jeffree Star stuff. And that's the sad reality, okay? Is that this is considered a slow drama day when 5 or 6, 7, 8 years ago, this would have been the hottest drama day, right? Like, that's when you know you're irrelevant, Jeffree Star, okay? Like, your days are over. If I were Jeffree Star at this point, I wouldn't continue to do all these palette releases and try to do all this kind of stuff. I just would, like, bow out gracefully, you know? And so, anyway, and I actually would probably do this differently than he's doing it right now, but I'll get to that in just a second. If I had the money that he had and all this kind of stuff, I would probably do this completely different, and I'll tell you what I would do in a second, if anybody cares. But anyway, I know he doesn't care. So, last night, they said it could not be done. They said it could not be done, but last night, at about 2 o'clock in the morning, I finally finished the final episode of season 18 of Sister Wives. Yes, I binge watched all 18 seasons. I mean, not yesterday, but like over the last 3 months. I binge watched every episode, every season of Sister Wives. I've watched all of it. And I did watch Christine get married to David last night. I watched the whole reunion, all 4 parts of the reunion, and then 2 parts of her marriage to David. She got divorced like at the beginning of the episode, and then she was married by the end of the episode, even though Christine said she just wants to date. She's just having so much fun dating, and then she was married in 10 months. But he seems like a really nice guy, so congratulations to Christine. But then I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do now. Like, my life is empty without Sister Wives. What am I going to do? And I felt very similar to this last year when I finished 1,000 Pound Sisters and I got caught up with that. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do without every day watching the Slayton sisters and Chris and Misty and all them? And then I turned around and I started binge watching Vanderpump Rules. And then I watched all 10, 11 seasons of Vanderpump Rules. I think it was 10 seasons of Vanderpump Rules. And then when I got done with Vanderpump Rules, I was like, what is my life now? Even though I watch TV shows every day. So last night, I had the hardest time trying to find a TV show because I'm like caught up with all the reality shows and I'm currently watching. I'm caught up with all of the true crime and I'm caught up with all this kind of stuff, right? And so for those of you that don't know, I have a Peter Watches TV channel where I just talk about TV shows. It's all the Netflix trending shows, the Apple trending TV shows, all the true crime series that come out, I'm covering over there. Like I did the Scott Peterson, the Lacey Peterson documentaries that just recently came out. And I have like 20 videos over there to post. So I don't need to watch any shows right now. So I was like, I just want to watch something that I want to watch. And if I cover it over there, I cover it over there. So anyway, I was like looking through my list of like shows to binge watch. And I keep on going over here because it's like the apple smell. I was like, where is that apple smell coming from? But anyway, I was like looking through stuff and I had Chimp Crazy on my list. Well, I started watching Chimp Crazy last night. It's 4 parts. It's from the director that did Tiger King. And so I started watching it and I was like, I don't know that I can do this show. I don't know that I am really that interested in it. It seems so weirdly and stuff like that. Then I went over to Apple and I started watching the first 5 minutes of Lady in the Lake. And then I was like, I'm really wanting to watch some kind of documentary kind of show. And so I'm like going through everything and I thought, and then I went over to the Max again, the HBO. They call it just the Max now, but anyway, the HBO Max. And number 2 was Chimp Crazy. And so on the like top 10 series. And so I was like, I'm going to give Chimp Crazy a chance again. So I went over and I watched Chimp Crazy last night. Well, I watched the first 2.5 episodes. Y'all, this show is crazy. This show is, you thought Carol Baskin was crazy from what's that show called, Tiger King? You thought Carol Baskin was crazy? Y'all need to see this Tanya. I'm not talking about my good Judy Tanya Jean. This Tanya Haddix, I think is her name. Y'all need to check her out in this show. This woman has lost her mind, okay? And she is kind of a beauty killer. They show her like 3 different times in 2 episodes getting her eyelashes done, okay? But anyway, getting her lips done and all this kind of stuff. So I watched that last night and I like making up all my videos I want to do. And I'm like, should I watch this Jeffree Star video? No, I'm going to watch it tomorrow. And then let my lip gloss bake for a little bit, get that Jaclyn Hill hair off there from my hair or lipstick. And then I was like, okay, let me go visit the Lonely Doll. I did not bring my Lonely Doll books with me. If I feel like there's something else, I don't think he'll probably post another video anytime soon on YouTube, so I don't need to pull them out anytime soon. But anyway, because I was reading some of the comments. Most of the comments are pretty nice, but there are a couple people that were like, you're just turning into Jaclyn Hill. I actually have this comment. I think I had it pulled up right here because I was going through the comments before I watched it. And somebody said, you're just like Jaclyn Hill, like you're releasing stuff. Where is it at? I mean, a lot of people are talking about how much they love this and all this kind of stuff. They saw him on I Missed the Lip Filler. They saw this. Didn't know Jeffree is a music artist. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Can't really get a vibe with Jeffree anymore. It's giving Jaclyn Hill, you only post to launch something new. And I saw that comment and I was like, okay, this is interesting. And I saw that before I even watched the video. So I was like, I want to go on this video and see what it is. So Jeffree Star released this video yesterday. And the video is called Beauty Killer 15th Anniversary Album and Makeup Reveal. Okay? And let me go out of this and go back in and see how many views it's at because it was not doing well earlier. Okay, so Jeffree Star has 15.8 million subscribers and the video is sitting at one day at 24 hours, 225,000 views. Okay, that's not good. That's not good at all. And it's interesting because I talked in my video the other day about how Jeffree Star was still getting pretty good views back in the day. If you go back and Scorpio launched 10 months ago. Now, I know he probably had to get some of these views over a period of time, but I remember watching this at the time, and they were hitting 500,000 to close to 1 million views within like a week, right? So the fact that his video is sitting at 225,000 views and he hasn't posted a video in 10 months, I was like, this is not good. I mean, we're 24 hours out, and he's got, you know, I mean, I see videos that are posted and within an hour have 30,000 views. I'm like, this is not good. There are drama channels that are getting, commentary channels that are getting more views than Jeffree Star is getting on a video that he's coming back and he hasn't posted. Now, Jeffree's excuse is going to be, see, I knew that the views were not on YouTube anymore, okay? And in fact, I was kind of interested, like, why he was coming back to YouTube. And I did this whole video the other day talking about it, and I didn't really understand, you know, like, whatever. And I was hoping that he would come back and he would kind of address the people that missed him. Because when you go through the comments, there are a lot of comments of people that said, I don't have TikTok. I missed you over here. I'm glad you're back. He does address that in the video. He does say, like, I spent a third of my life on YouTube. Like, I missed you guys, blah, blah, blah. I've just been on some other platforms. But Jeffree Star, like, watching this video was so interesting to me because in my history of 8 years of covering Jeffree Star, I've covered Jeffree Star pretty extensively for 8 years. Like, 8 years of covering something, that's like taking one class for 8 years and, like, watching everything about it, right? Like, you know a lot about it. You kind of know the ins and outs, the quirks of somebody. You kind of know how they do things. Jeffree Star is always that person that just shows you what he wants to show you, right? Like, he just, like, he kept on saying all these people that he kept on meeting in the record business and the music industry, and he kept on saying, and then I was introduced, and I thought he was going to say, Davi Vanity. I kept on waiting for that, like, because I thought, is he going to come out and address that, like, finally, after all these years? Like, he's like, and then I met Nicki Minaj, and then I met, and I was like, Davi Vanity? And he's like, no, you know, he doesn't go there, obviously. But so the whole thing is a history lesson in his music career, and how he started on MySpace, and all this kind of stuff. And I'll be honest with you, as somebody that has covered Jeffree Star for a very long time, his history of kind of explaining it all to me, that part was kind of interesting. It really was. I think that this is the thing. I think that okay, so I was thinking about this before I even watched the video. I was thinking about it last night. I was like, why? I knew at that point, because enough people had sent it to me, that he was releasing a Beauty Killer palette, and he was re-releasing the Beauty Killer album, and he had 3 singles. I knew that, because enough people had messaged me about it, right? And so I'm like, so he's coming back to YouTube, but this is a very calculated move, because the people that loved Jeffree back in the day, okay, right off the Warped Tour, when he started doing makeup, those people that are fully aware of the Beauty Killer album, those people that know the music back in the day, those people that are going to have some kind of emotional attachment to him releasing a palette over this are the people that watched him on the early days of YouTube. And very few of those people have followed him over to TikTok. Over on TikTok, if you look, it's a lot of really young people that follow him over there that don't really know the history of Jeffree Star on YouTube or even his music history. I mean, there are people in the comment sections that are like, I didn't even know that you sang. Like, I mean, it's crazy when you read the comments. There are people over there that are like, I didn't even know that you put out music. Okay? So he goes in and he does, like, the whole history of Jeffree Star as the musician and being on tour. Now, what's interesting to me about this is he shows a lot of clips of him on stage and stuff like that. I think what's interesting is that, and he's the one that showed it in a video, so I'm just bringing it up, okay? But he shows all these clips of himself back on tour back in the day, like the early touring days of Jeffree Star. And I'm like, you know, this is interesting to me that 15 years later you're coming out about this, because those were also like the times where, you know, you've apologized for it. A lot of people have let it go, whatever, right? But those are also some of your most problematic years, right? I know that you're really proud of this album, but those are where there are like the clipped remarks of you saying things to fans in the audience, of walking down the street. That's the time period that happened, right? Like that was before he got on YouTube. And so it's interesting to me, and he's talking about MySpace and all this kind of stuff. And so then he goes in and he's talking about how he's going to re-release the Beauty Killer album and how it's the 10th anniversary of Jeffree Star Cosmetics and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I'm watching it, in all honesty. I'm literally just watching it like this. I'm sitting right here watching it like this, because I was like, I want to turn around and do a reaction to it right away. And I'm like, this is so boring. Like, this is literally so, this video is so boring. I feel like this is a video you put out 5 years ago talking about the 5-year anniversary. Congratulations. I mean, I think that's great that your cosmetics company has been around, but it's boring. Who cares, right? And here you are releasing the 15-year anniversary of your album. Congratulations. I think that's cool. You know, I haven't put out a music album, so congratulations to you for putting out not one, but several albums, you know? Congratulations. I think that's cool. Celebrate the moment. But it just is boring to me. And I think it's boring because, in all honesty, I thought I was, but I'm really not that interested in the life of Jeffree Star anymore. And he's the one that kind of killed it for everybody, you know? I mean, maybe put out a new album and call it, like, Kill It My Own Career. You know, people in the comment section were like, oh, put out the book, put out the book. And I'm like, he didn't mention anything about a book in the video. Did I miss him talking about the book? I didn't hear him talk anything about it. If he did, I mean, was it 2 seconds and I missed it? So he goes in and he does this whole thing about talking about the history of music, all the people he met, how Akon signed him, and then that didn't work out. But we already know the history of that because he's come out and talked about it, but he doesn't talk about it in this video. It's like, this is again where he just picks and chooses. He talks about how Akon had signed Lady Gaga and how Nicki Minaj was on his album. He starts reading the back of the album, all these collabs he does with people. This was kind of like a silly moment, in all honesty. He's like, oh yeah, and Nicki Minaj did a collaboration, and he's like, and Judy Smith and Sally Jones. It's like all these people you've never heard of before. And he's like, and he can't even pronounce some of their names. And he's like, really important, famous people were on the collab on this album. And then he goes in and talks about how he didn't have the shining moment with Beauty Killer, the release of the album, that he really wanted. And then he thought it was going to be this huge moment for him, and it just wasn't this huge moment for him. Now, in all honesty, this moment for him, if he could really tap into it a little bit more, he's like, because later he says, and then I just kind of was done with music. And so I fired my attorneys, I fired everybody, I just was done with music. Well, what we know today is that when Jeffree Star doesn't get his way, he takes his toys and he goes home, okay? So I have to believe that that reaction was that Jeffree Star, after touring the Warped Tour and doing all this kind of stuff, didn't get the response to an album he wants. Earlier in the video, he compares himself, he was like, there was Boy George, there was David Bowie, and then little Jeffree Star came along. And I'm like, girl, please tell me that you are not comparing yourself to Culture Club, Boy George, and David Bowie. Please tell me, Jeffree Star, that you are not trying to compare yourself to David Bowie. You are no David Bowie, okay? Musically, you are not David Bowie. Artistically, you are not David Bowie. Please tell me that you are not so arrogant that in this moment, you are comparing yourself to David Bowie, okay? Well, that's the problem, is that he has never had any humility. And so he's always compared himself to these bigger people and thought he was. He thought he was going to have a release like Lady Gaga, and that did not happen, okay? That album fell short. And part of the reason that it fell short, and I'll be honest with you, back in the day, I liked some of those songs. I liked Beauty Killer. I liked Prom Night. I liked some of those songs back in the day. But even when I listened to those songs back in the day, I knew they were keyboard tracks to MySpace. I knew that. That's all they are, okay? They are just like keyboard, like somebody playing a keyboard and him sitting in a studio. I mean, he doesn't have a good singing voice at all. He just doesn't. No offense, Jeffree, I don't have a good singing voice. People all the time are like, oh, Peter, I know I don't have a good singing voice, okay? That might not stop me from putting out an album. Congratulations to you, okay? I mean, he even says in the video, he's like, I never thought that I could be this singer, and here I am touring the world. I think that's great. I think that if you came down a little bit off your throne, what you might be teaching people, and it's a very teachable moment, is you can achieve your dreams. Like, that was your dream and you wanted to do it. But what you do is you taint that. You taint that message with coming out and saying The album fell short. It wasn't the moment that I wanted it to be. Girl, seriously? Do you know how many people didn't have the moments that they wanted in life? I mean, every day of their life. They don't get the job they want. You know, they don't get this. They don't get that. You know, I was watching this video last night. I was watching a bunch of different videos last night just that were like suggested to me. And I was watching this guy. I guess he's a rather large Twitch streamer. I've never heard of him before. But anyway, he was talking about like suggestions on how to start a YouTube channel. And I thought it was interesting because I was like, I always encourage people, if you want to start a YouTube channel, start a YouTube channel. And one of the things that he said was, and I thought this was interesting, he said, you know, like 30 to 40% of your audience has always wanted to be like an influencer, a content creator. I hate those words. A YouTuber, whatever, right? This video was a couple years old. And he was saying that, so when you're complaining about what you do, any element of it to your audience, and 30% of them wishes they had your life, then like in that moment, like you, like that, those complaints, like they don't want to hear that, right? And I was like, oh, I totally get that, right? Like, I totally understand that. I mean, I've complained in videos and people are like sympathetic, but after a while, they're like, I don't really want to hear it anymore. I've watched people complain in videos and I'm like, I don't want to hear about it anymore. You know what I mean? I get that 100%. I was like, that's actually really good advice. F what kind of software you use. F if you film it on a phone or a camera or however you do it. F the lighting. That's some great advice. Don't complain to your audience. And so here he is talking about this moment. I thought it was a genuine moment. I thought it was a vulnerable moment of him to talk about the album fell short and it never got its moment. But to many of your audience out there, there are people that have looked up to you for all these years. You know, you have a life beyond their wildest dreams. You have several homes. You fly in private jets. You can buy any clothing that you want, carry any bag you want. You come up with your own makeup line. You've named makeup, you know, you've named shades in your palettes off of friends. I mean, do you know, like, people would die to have that life. And here you are talking about how your album didn't get its moment. And I think to a lot of people, it probably, and I'm just kind of looking on the outside in, I think it kind of falls short on them a little bit. They're like, well, I'm sorry. So he's like, so this is my moment to give it back. Well, here you are again failing your own album, because what you should have done if you really believed in this album so much, I would have, with your kind of money, I would have gone and hired some really great producers to reproduce the album. I would have like reached out to like some new up and coming artists to be on the album to give them exposure, and I would have revamped the hell out of that album. I would have done some of the songs acoustically, which just had somebody like have a guitar and I would have sung live to it. I would have done anything different with this album other than what you did. Because at the end of the album, he goes, I want to give you a preview of one of my new songs. And he plays this song, and the song is like, I'm that CEO, rich bitch, and it's the same keyboard MySpace sound that he was doing 15 years ago. And I'm like, girl, please miss me on this shit. Ain't nobody buying it, okay? Nobody wants to listen to this stuff. You know, MySpace was an era of time, okay? And there was a lot of music that came out of that era. Ain't nobody listening to that today. Nobody's listening to that. Oh my God, my tripod fell. You know, ain't nobody gonna listen to this guy that's, you know, not really doing anything big with his career talk about how I'm this fucking rich bitch. Girl, don't nobody care. Nobody cares, Jeffree, okay? You know, the song, it's like, this was such a miss. This was such a missed opportunity. Like, this to me was such a missed opportunity. You know, and I'm like, and he's like, well, people want to know why I've gone over to TikTok and whatever. And I'm like, well, we already know why you went over to TikTok, because you did that series with Shane Dawson. In that series, you go, girl, nobody's on YouTube anymore. The views aren't on YouTube. That's what you said to your audience. You pissed your audience off, okay? So now you're coming back and you're rewriting history, and you said you just wanted to go on some other platforms. You didn't say, I would have lived, okay, if you would have gotten this video and said I left YouTube because nobody was watching videos anymore, with your last video sitting at 1.1 million views. I would have loved that, okay? I don't think I've ever had a 1 million view video on my channel. There's a lot of people out there that don't even have 50 subscribers, okay? There's a lot of people that don't even have 20 subscribers, you know? Somebody was brought to my attention the other day that they're literally posting, they're starting their channel, they're posting like 10 videos a day, and their videos are getting like 10 views. And I'm like, I love this, okay? This is somebody that is so passionate about what they're doing that they can't not be part of it. But you're sitting there pissing away 1 million views on YouTube saying that that's bullshit. Then you want to get in a video and say, oh, I wanted to go to different platforms because that was where makeup was. Makeup wasn't on YouTube anymore. Well, what you've just done again is, for all the people that stayed on YouTube and have been doing makeup, and I'm not talking about the Manny MUAs and the Laura Lees and all those people. I'm talking about the people out there that have 10,000 subscribers. 10,000 subscribers is a lot of subscribers. You know? 1,000 subscribers is a lot of subscribers. I remember when I hit 1,000 subscribers on my BookTube channel, I was like, damn, 1,000 people are watching my videos? And you want to piss away at 1 million subscribers. Girl, it's a bad look, okay? And this is where you've never had any humility and you're completely entitled and you feel like this is all should be handed to you because you came out with 3 liquid lipsticks before everybody else. Girl, cry me a river. Seriously? You know, get in a video and you're thankful for your audience, kind of. But you're like, I missed you too. I spent a third of my life and then I went over to TikTok. And you're like, and I went over there to review makeup on TikTok. No, girl. Let's be real, okay? Yes, you put out a few TikToks here and there doing makeup reviews on TikTok, but the majority of your TikTok is battling people that you don't even know, okay? And calling them a bunch of pookies. That's what your live streams are about, your TikTok lives, okay? Battling for people, tipping yourself from your own account, okay? Allegedly, to make it look like you're winning these battles over dragons and castles and unicorn farts and a bunch of bullshit that nobody even cares about. I mean, that's dying out too. I can tell you right now, okay? I predicted this with Jeffree Star, and I'm telling you right now, okay? And people on all time say, oh, Peter, you're a psychic of YouTube. It's just watching trends, all right? This TikTok battle shit will be over in a year from now. You mark my words, October 1st of 2025, ain't nobody gonna be watching this TikTok battle shit, okay? And these people that are bankrolling on TikTok battles, they aren't gonna be doing that anymore. And then and all these people that are posting up 5 million TikToks, if you ain't made it on TikTok at this point, you got about 6 months. You better get to it, okay? And that's why Jeffree Star's coming back to YouTube, because he couldn't make it on TikTok either. He's getting okay views, but he knows that new crowd, they ain't going to buy this 15th anniversary palette because they have no emotional investment in the story of Jeffree Star. The people that are emotionally invested in the story of Jeffree Star are on YouTube. Those are the people that first began to follow him. Well, you done pissed in the face of those people. If I was one of those people, I'm not telling anybody what to do. You watch and buy what you want to buy. But if I was one of those people that had bought every mirror of yours, that had watched every launch of yours, every video of Nathan, that was excited about you getting your dogs and sad when your dogs passed and were sick, that was emotionally invested in you, this video would be a real F you. It's like, well, I'm back now. Y'all should be excited because I'm gracing you with my presence. I'd be like, well, I never left. I've been here all along. And Jeffree, I bought everything of yours. And I've been by your side and I've supported you. You know? I think it's so weird. I've said this for a long time. Like, I'm not a psychic. I just watch trends of things, okay? And I watch stories that friends of mine tell me in whatever business they're in, whether they're in the restaurant business or the modeling business. I have friends of mine that are in the entertainment business. I have friends of mine that are in movies and all this kind of stuff. I was talking about that in my vlog last night, right? So I watch trends with industries. Just friends of mine tell me things, right? And I've had so many friends of mine talk about the end of your career when you go out, whether that's as an executive in a company or whether that's an entertainer, how you're going to go out. And that's something you think about long in advance, okay? And as I'm watching this, I'm like, I don't think Jeffree Star really has any plan. I thought he did, okay? I thought Jeffree Star was going to be like, 2025, I'm out, okay? And I'm selling the company and I'm done with all this. The company's not even making that much money anymore. Jeffree Star Cosmetics is not making that much money anymore. He doesn't sell out of anything, right? And don't tell me it's because he orders too much. And he should have figured that out 5 years ago when he wasn't selling anything. So he's doing okay, but it's not like sustainable to this lifestyle that he wants to have, you know? And so people back in the day were interested in this vault and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, I think it's interesting at this point, if I had as much money as you did and as much investments, and people say he owns these marijuana things and houses and all this kind of stuff, if that's true and he has those kind of investments, I'll tell you what I would do, is I probably would say, I'm done, because the TikTok has to be kind of exhausting, if you want to know the truth, okay? Unless he has really nobody to interact with, and so TikTok is social for him, then I get that. Then I get that the TikTok battles are social for him, and that kind of makes me sad, that after all of this, you have nobody to interact with except for somebody in a TikTok battle. Then that kind of makes me sad. The video kind of, in all honesty, he seemed kind of nervous in it at the beginning, and it kind of made me sad. I kind of was like, Jeffree, I said this about Christy the other day, I'm going to say it about him. There's a sparkle that's gone in Jeffree Star. Because I think he's still trying to keep up something, an illusion that was there like 7 or 8 years ago that ain't there anymore. And, you know, here's just the reality of life. I'm 52 years old, okay? I'm not the badass bitch I thought I was at 30. You know, I'm never going to be that again. I know that today. But I can be a different version of myself. And I think that transformation and that changing and ever evolving and growing is really cool to watch. It's really cool to experience in your own skin. It's like, I don't know who I'm going to be 6 months from now. I hope I'm a better, different version of myself than I am today. You know, I don't know. Maybe I won't even be wearing hats, you know, 6 months from now. Or maybe I'll shave my beard. Or maybe I'll be interested in different things, you know, 6 months from now. Or maybe I'll have new people and new friends in my life and my interests will change. But like this illusion of trying to keep up who you were 6 or 7 years ago, to be honest with you, it's kind of sad for me. It's really sad that he feels like that's where his only relevance is. You know, I've always said this. Take your audience along with you on your journey. Let them grow and change with you. Because the people that watched Jeffree Star 10 years ago, 15 years ago when Beauty Killer came out, I mean, if they were, let's say 20 at the time, they're 35 now. They're Jeffree Star's age. I think he's 37 or 38, right? Okay, I mean, I don't know that most 40-year-olds are like looking back at all of that of their MySpace era and wanting to dye their hair again and do all this kind of stuff and buy the palette. First of all, when he showed this palette, this mini palette, I was like, okay, the colors to me in the palette, the shade ranges, none of them to me, anything looks new. It all looks like regurgitated stuff that Jeffree Star's done because he's run out of stuff to do. But the second thought I had, right, after I watched it, we have the same in recovery. It's like first thought bad, second thought good. And the second thought I thought was, this would have been brilliant for him to do 6 years ago. Like if Jeffree Star, after the Shane Dawson series, had turned right around and re-released the album, which I know that takes time, but now I'm hearing the single, I'm thinking, how much time did it take? I mean, he talks about how he's doing a country. Now we know why he was in Nashville. I'm like, oh girl, that's original. After Beyonce just came out with her country song, you think not everybody in the world is going to think that you think that you're the new Beyonce, going to Nashville and cutting a country hit? You think not everybody in the world is going to call you? I mean, girl, this is, for me, where when I was watching it, I just was like, he has no creative ideas. He really doesn't. Like, this video proved to me that all these years, I thought Jeffree Star was really creative, and in one video, I kind of was like, he really isn't at all. Because he's talking about the back in the day, and what he called these songs, and what he called these albums. Now, for those of you that don't know, I lived this era, not that era, the era I'm about to talk about. I lived the Club Kid era, okay? I lived the Club Kid era, and watching all them, the beginning of Amanda Lepore, and, you know, Michael Alec, that was from South Bend, Indiana. I'm from Indianapolis, and him moving to New York. I can remember my roommate and I watching the Geraldos, watching the Sally Jesse Raphaels, watching the Phil Donahues, which just recently passed away, sadly, where they would have the Club Kids on there, and it was Michael Alec, and it was Wallpaper, and it was Amanda Lepore, and it was Richie Rich, and we would watch them, and we wanted to be part of that world. Well, when you watch it that closely, and you've read books like James St. James, who was part of it, Party Monster, you watch the movie, some of those parties that Michael Alec, who, yes, he passed away, I think two Christmases ago, but, you know, murdered these people and murdered this person, and it was sad, and went to Rikers Island and all this kind of stuff. It was tragic, right? But when you look at Michael Alec and these parties he was throwing, the parties he was throwing were called like Disco Bloodbath 2000 and things like that, okay? When you look at the pictures of those flyers, because when Jeffree Star was showing this stuff to me, I don't know why in that moment it clicked. I was like, he copied Michael Alec. He's even talked about the Club Kid days and Michael Alec back in the day. He copied the model of Michael Alec at Limelight, of throwing these parties and naming them things, and he just kind of changed the name a little bit, did almost exactly the same pictures. If you look at some of Jeffree Star's pictures, they are almost identical to what Michael Alec was doing back in the day, throwing club parties, and just changed it a little bit, and acted like he was a club kid with the clothes and all this kind of stuff. He reinvented Michael Alec and put music to it. That's literally what he did. And a new era that hadn't heard of Michael Alec because it was the MySpace days. And I'm like, oh, why did this never occur to me before? You really weren't this genius that I thought you were. Then he says on the video, he watches it, he says, I started watching YouTube and I realized that that was when there were just a few people that were reviewing makeup. And what he did was, because this is what he is smart about, okay, is catching trends. It's not that genius, it's common sense. Like I said, I'm not a psychic. I'm not a genius even, okay? I don't claim to be. It's watching trends. And he was watching people start to grow on YouTube. That's when he released the 3 liquid lipsticks. And he even says it in his video, and he goes, and I came back to start up, I've always had this interest in makeup. Well, if you go back and you watch those days when he was on tour, his makeup was not that fine. It wasn't. He was nobody. If you look at any of those looks back in the day when he was on tour, you would not pick him out of a crowd and be like, yeah, I want him to give me approved makeup. You would not at all, okay? His makeup was horrible on those tours. It was not good. He refined his makeup because what he did, unlike Shane Dawson, was he surrounded himself by people like Lipstick Nick that knew a lot about makeup. He surrounded himself by experts in the field. He had the money, okay, from his MySpace days to put out these 3 liquid lipsticks because he was really struggling financially before that. So he did it, and he used his fan base on MySpace to build his fan base, and he was really one of the first guys ever, okay, with also a history of MySpace. He brought that social media status to build his YouTube career. And with both of those together, and also being one of the first, guys doing makeup reviews on YouTube, he kind of reinvented everything yet again. He took somebody else's model. All those people had already been out there already, He says in a video, there were guys and girls doing makeup already. I was watching them, I became obsessed, and I wanted to do the same thing. This is what Jeffree Star has always done. He's copied the model. There's no model to copy anymore. It's like I said in my video the other day, and I was just kind of guessing. I think he went to TikTok because Michaela Nogueira was doing so well on TikTok. So he thought, if I go to TikTok, I'm going to do well like Michaela Nogueira, and that didn't happen. He's doing good on TikTok, but he's not doing Michaela Nogueira numbers or other beauty influencers numbers over there because people aren't that interested in Jeffree Star anymore. And that's okay. Everybody has dying careers that go up and down, And then we see at 60, they come out in a new movie, and it's like, oh my God, whatever happened to this? It's like Winona Ryder. She went through career cancellation as well, and then came out in Stranger Things, and it's like she reinvented her career. She took that opportunity, that moment. It was opportunity met desire. But it wasn't like she was trying to reinvent Heathers from 20 years ago. He's trying to reinvent Heathers from 20 years ago. And it's kind of sad to me because I'm like, if you had put this out, if when Shane Dawson released that series, if 3 months later you had said, I'm going to re-release the Beauty Killer album with 3 new songs, and I'm also going to release a palette, and every pan in the palette is going to be named after one of the songs on Beauty Killer, can you even imagine? That video would have, or that video alone wouldn't be sitting at 225,000 views, it'd be sitting at 10 million views. And you would have sold the shit out of that. And then you could have given Beauty Killer the moment. People have been asking for your music for years, Jeffree, okay? But now that nobody's that interested in you anymore, now you release your music? This is such a weird way for me, in all honesty. He keeps on hinting out about this book. If it were me, and I had the kind of money that he did, and he seems just tired and over it anyway, you're seeing more and more TikToks where he's yelling at people and getting mad at him, okay? So he's tried to hide that for so long because it affected him, and I think he's at a point where he just doesn't give a shit anymore, which is why he's now saying, I'm coming back to his YouTube mean girl era, okay? But nobody really cares about that anymore, people would care about it from people that are more relevant, but not you, And so if it were me, in all honesty, I would put out one last launch of Jeffree Star Cosmetics, and 6 months later, sell her. Okay? I'd say, I'm gonna come back to YouTube when I want to. I'm gonna make a video here. Let the people keep on guessing. Because you don't need the money for it. And then my last real video on YouTube would be announcing my book release. And I would do a tell-all. I would. I wouldn't just do, this is my history in the music industry, because I can tell you right now, I was kind of interested in that, covering you for 8 years, but most people wouldn't be. I don't know if that was test run to see if people are that interested in the story of the music, because that's what you're going to write your book about. People want you to tell shit on the beauty industry. That's what you want to do. If you're not going to release that, and I think he knows this, if I'm not going to release a book that's going to tell all the rumors and the bullshit behind the beauty industry, nobody's going to care. And that's going to be the criticism. Well, that's not the book that he wrote. That's not the book that he's writing. He's writing a book about the American dream of him making his life on MySpace, and then him becoming a musician, and then him starting his beauty brand, and then him being on YouTube, and how successful it is, okay? That's great, but listen, you referenced David Bowie. You're not David Bowie. I don't even know if David Bowie would release that kind of, or make that kind of numbers on a book just about that, without some drama in it, What you need to do if you want to stay relevant is you need to release your tell-all book, is what you need to do. But you don't care that much, because I don't know, like this is where Jeffree Star does really care about what people think. He acts like he doesn't, but he does. Because if he didn't, I would have been marketing the shit out of this. I would have said, let me tell you what happened in the 15 years that happened since I put Beauty Killer out. I met some of the biggest assholes in the industry, and I would have named them if I were Jeffree Star from his point of view. I met James Charles, and let me tell you what he did to me. But he's not hyping us up at all. It's like you don't care. I don't know. It's weird to me. It's really weird. And in all honesty, having watched him for so long, I'm this is where people are like, oh, you have hate boners, or you love these. I don't really care that much about these people, but to watch this, it makes me kind of sad, in all honesty. It really, really does, And maybe it's because I just finished Sister Wives last night, and after 18 seasons, I'm kind of sad about that, because it ends on a very sad note going into season 19. And so maybe I'm just looking at this as a lot of endings, but for me, this video, I just watched it. I just was like, what has happened to you? What's going on here? Like, you kind of seem done to me. But this is supposed to be your announcement of this release and this album, like, and you seem excited kind of in the video. But I don't know, like, I don't know. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.